Do you want to hear about a saucy young man named Jack? Well, stick around when I review Jack of Hearts and Other Parts. Well, hello friends. For those of you new around here, my name is Roger and welcome to my channel, Roger's Reads. So I was browsing in my library a while back in the young adult section and a book caught my eye, and that was Jack of Hearts and Other Parts by L.C. Rosen. So I picked it up and read the synopsis, and it sounded so intriguing that I decided I was going to read it. And here we are. So the story follows 17-year-old Jack Rothman, an out and proud high school boy who wears makeup, loves to party, and he loves boys. A lot. So much so that he's really rather quite promiscuous, and his sex life is the endless topic of conversation around school, with many kids embellishing his exploits so that they are of legendary proportions. So I really thought that Jack was a breath of fresh air as someone who, though identifying as male, refuses to conform to gender standards nonetheless. He enjoys ladies' fashion, wears makeup, and doesn't hide his love for boys. And the best part is that he's mostly accepted by his peers at school. So I really enjoyed that aspect of the book. So then Jack begins receiving anonymous notes in his locker, the first being something like, I think you're cute. So Jack's not sure whether to consider the notes flattering or creepy. So meanwhile, Jack's friend ropes him into writing an online sex advice column, and shortly thereafter the notes take a major turn for the stalkerish. So Jack is being watched, and his so-called secret admirer seems to know everything about him. Who he's sleeping with, who his mother is dating, who's coming and going from Jack's house, what his friends are up to, and more. So the stalker then moves into dangerous territory when he begins threatening the safety of Jack's loved ones. Now Jack and his friends, Ben and Jenna, have to unmask the stalker before someone gets seriously hurt or worse. So first off, I'm pretty sure that this is the first YA book that I've read that speaks about sex so openly, and gay sex at that. Jack loves casual sex, and he speaks openly and unapologetically about it. And I'm talking completely unfiltered here. In his sex advice column, his answers are quite graphic with all of the naughty bits left in. So if you don't like to read about nookie in your novels, especially young adult novels, then you'll definitely want to pass on this one. No, it's definitely not for the prudish. So I will say that it wasn't the sex in the book that was graphic, but rather the discussions thereof. Still, I'm sure that this book would piss off those readers who don't want teens to read about sex, especially about a gay teen boy who not only loves sex, but also wants others to enjoy it too. And there certainly is no sugarcoating in this book. But, I actually found it quite refreshing how Jack talks about sex candidly and with humor, never denigrating himself nor taking himself too seriously in the process. I actually think that some of Jack's conversations might be helpful to many people, as he covers everything from asexuality, BSDM, sexual consent, gay culture, and a lot more actually. And he always encourages his readers to engage in safe sex, though I am sure that many readers, because of his descriptions, will have a too much information moment or two. So though the sex discussions tend toward the graphic, Jack's advice always came with a positive message. Be proud of who you are, ask for what you want, and say no if you ever feel that things are heading into a territory that you're not comfortable with. Never be ashamed of what you enjoy, and what you do with your body is up to you. What I also loved about Jack is how he stood up for who he is and refused to be pushed into anyone's box. The principal of the school, for instance, not only victim-shamed Jack, but also repeatedly suggested that Jack tone it down. You know, I can really relate to this, as I was told the same thing when I was in high school. I was a little bit more flamboyant in those days. I know, shocking, right? So yeah, so it was awesome how Jack stood up for himself and refused to back down. I was a bit surprised, however, when this super fun and light-hearted novel took a turn for the dark for a moment there. Jack's otherwise bright, charismatic light was definitely dimmed from the anxiety and stress of a potentially dangerous stalker, and this part was actually quite terrifying. So here we see Jack actually being blackmailed to go back into the closet. I also enjoyed the frank discussion about stereotypes and the importance of being ourselves that came through in the novel. Jack is aware that he fits the makeup-wearing, promiscuous gay stereotype, but as he puts it, he's being true to himself. And there was another gay kid at his school who is incensed at Jack because, as he sees it, Jack is giving gays a bad name by fitting into this stereotype. What's important here is that Jack reminds you that you are never only a stereotype. Stereotypes exist for everything we can think of, and sometimes we fit into them and sometimes we don't. What's important is that we be our authentic selves. And this is one of the conversations that was explored and considered in the book, which really paved the way to further discussions and conversations with others. So in this way, Jack of Hearts has some very important messages concerning gender stereotypes and delivers them in an entertaining and non-preachy way. I think what I especially enjoyed about this story is a representation, especially in regard to LGBTQ people, in which we're introduced to all manner of gay kids, jocks, theater kids, fashion kids, effeminate kids, straight-laced kids, makeup-wearing kids, and so on. You know, I found that the gay people in the book were portrayed as real people and not the offensive caricatures that we often see in the media. And it wasn't only the gay characters who were diverse. Jack's two closest friends, Jenna is Latina and Ben is black and gay. I also thought it was kind of interesting how the story didn't revolve around romance as we often see in young adult contemporaries. In fact, Jack is quite the opposite. He doesn't do boyfriends or relationships or romance. It's not that Jack's against the idea of monogamy and boyfriends, they just aren't for him at this stage of his life, or that's how he explains it. Maybe when he's in college, but now he's simply not ready for love. And I found this actually kind of refreshing. Now, on the other side of the coin, Jack's best friend Ben is all about romance and finding the one. And Jack supports him all along the way. Now, the only niggle with this book is that I thought that the masking of the stalker was a little bit anticlimactic. I would have enjoyed seeing a little bit more build-up. It all seemed to occur really quickly, so I felt a little teeny-weeny let down by that. I'm also not quite sure if I buy into the stalker's motivation. It kind of felt a bit weak to me. But all in all, Jack of Hearts is an incredible and unashamedly sex-positive read with an incredibly brave and fearless main character and a complex, unique, and admirable cast of secondary characters. There was a plethora of important themes in the novel, such as stereotyping, slut-shaming, queer-shaming, victim-blaming, the fetishization of queer relationships, friendship, family, and more. And it was told with style and an excellent sense of humor. But it's also a tense and chilling mystery thriller as well, in which our main character has to decide whether to stay true to his flamboyant, authentic self or give in to the demands of a potentially deadly stalker. So in this way, the author kind of combined the YA contemporary genre with a dark mystery thriller, and I really enjoyed the result of it. Now, I did particularly enjoy the Scooby Gang mystery solving, which really worked well in this situation, given that some of the adults in the story blamed Jack for what was happening to him, using the old "you brought this on yourself" excuse. Now, I have to say that I've read quite a lot of gay team contemporaries over the years, and this is by far the most unique one that I've come across, sparking a lot of nostalgic memories for me from my own high school years. I love the messages here of accepting yourself, of personal choice and consent, and I ended up giving this book, I think it was a 4.5 stars. So yeah, I really ended up enjoying Jack of Hearts and Other Parts. So that's it for this review. If you liked this video, I'd really appreciate if you click the like button below and subscribe if you haven't, and that way you'll get notified when I release new videos. And that about does it. I will talk to you in the next video. Roger and out.